Hello, Brandon here from Ashton. Today we're talking about the value stack. Okay, what is the value stack? I've used this ever since I started. I was taught this by Stefan Arneo in the Black Card University over in Winnipeg. I use it all the time. I feel like a lot of people use it, but they haven't identified it. So I closed a really good deal agreement for sale lately, and I used the value stack textbook and got some great terms. So I just want to share with you what it is, how to use it, and maybe you can get some good nuggets and good takeaways to help you with your everyday negotiations, whether it be real estate or whatever your vehicle. So first of all, when it comes to negotiation, it's collect, clutter, close. Okay, that's the general process of it. Okay, you collect information, you ask questions, you try and learn their pain points, their hot buttons, you collect. That should take up most of the negotiation. Then there's the clutter phase, which is where we're going to implement the value stack, which is what we're talking about. And then there's the close phase. I'm not going to talk about collect. You need to be a good listener to collect. And I'm not going to talk about close. You need to be a really good closer to close. Those are two different things. I'm going to talk about the value stack in the clutter, in the middle. So the value stack, when we're buying these houses, it's never just about the price, okay? I put out an article about the other things it's about, but as much as you think it's about price, it's important, but it's never always about price. When you're collecting information, there's important things that are going on in these people's lives. Everything is dynamic, okay? So some examples of what, after collecting information, examples of what the value stack would look like in a house purchase. A value stack item would be something like house purchased as is. A value stack item would be no RPR, real property report needed. A value stack item would be the date. I need to close in a week. That's a very important value stack item. That's a date. There's the price, of course. Maybe they need help dealing with tenants in the house. There's lawyer fees is a value stack. All this stuff has value, and now you're stacking up. The more things in the value stack, the better. And you'll see why kind of in a second. There's the lawyer fees, the RPR we talked about. Maybe there's storage. Sometimes people are like, oh, well, I won't be able to get my old car off the lot until the snow melts for 3 months, and they want to leave their car on the lot after you close for a certain amount of time. And, there's all this random stuff that you build up in these situations, and you build this value stack, okay? You got to identify that stuff and you got to write that stuff down. A little side note, preparation is key. Lately, every 30-minute meeting that I've prepared for an hour and a half for has just been an absolute field goal. So preparing is key. So if you can collect and build that value stack as big as you can, you're going to have a lot of room to wiggle, okay? So now you have this value stack. Then what you're going to do is you're going to order that value stack in priority for yourself. The number one priority for you, okay? The one thing you want to get, I don't care. I'll pay your legal fees. I'll let you leave your car there. I'll close whenever I want. It doesn't matter. But the most important thing for me is the price. Number one, priority. Now, I'm just using an example. And then you want to order everything else in your priority, okay? So now you have this value stack. Now it's ordered in priority. Then when you go to close and write up the terms and actually put this agreement down, you're going to start at the very bottom of your priorities on the value stack. I don't know, the real property report is always very non-important because normally we're going to fix the place up like this and get a new one anyways, so nobody cares about it. But for them, it's a $600 expense. So you start at the bottom of the value stack. And you say, okay, do you have an RPR? No, okay. And you give it to them. You give them that value stack item. You say, no worries, don't worry about it. I got it taken care of. And then you work up to the next second lowest priority and you give it to them. Next priority, you give it to them. Next priority, you give it to them. Now you're working up to 1, 2, 3. And so now that you're working on, say, number 2, which is the price, and I don't know, let's say we're at number 1, the price, okay? That's the most important thing to you. So you get to the price, and the second most important is, say, the date, okay? Oh, got a little battery notification. Hope that didn't cut it off. Oh well. Okay. Second lowest is date, and you say, okay, I want to close on this date. And they're like, well, we can't do that. We want to push it to this date. And you can say, okay, I can do your date, but then you're going to have to get the RPR, and you're gonna have to deal with the tenants because it's a later date. So once you get up the value stack to the more priority items, you've given them so much. Now when you go into negotiation, if they come back to you with a counter, you start taking away the things that you've already given them. Now, if you're good, you know their hot buttons and you know it's important to them, and hopefully your low priorities are their high priorities, because if you take away that, then they say, oh, well, I don't want to give away that, so okay, fine, we'll go your date. And then you get to the most important thing, for example, in this situation, the price. And I need this house at $200,000, and they say, well, you can't do that, it's got to be $215,000. And then you say, you know what, okay, I'll tell you what, I can do $210,000, but it's got to be on my date, and you got to get the RPR, and you got to deal with your tenants. And then you go, so there's kind of an order. It's once you have the value stack, it's called order, give, and take. So you order it in priority, you give them the low priority stuff, and then you start taking it away once you get to your high priority stuff. So once you get to the high priority stuff like the price, you give them a little bit, but you start taking the stuff away, and you start making them kind of feel that pain for their things, and then they can bring down those high priority stuff for you. And that's kind of how you run that value stack to make sure that once you're talking about your highest priority, you have wiggle room and you have a value stack built up that you can move around and play with. Another Stefan Arnio line that I love was never give them anything without taking something away. Oh, I'm offering you 200. You want 205? Okay, I can give you 205, but I'm not going to pay for your lawyer fees. Okay, whatever, and now back to planning. If you can plan that value stack, you can really dial in the numbers, and it'll just make you better at this. Now, about that agreement for sale, kind of what I did, the terms that were the value stack items in that agreement for sale negotiation were, of course, price, equity pay down during the term, what the term exactly was, when we were going to take possession, and what the cost was going to be monthly. Those are just general agreement for sale terms outside of all the other stuff, but those are very important terms. And I just did this totally textbook. I gave, and the price was very important, and also the monthly payments are very important. So I gave him whatever possession. He changed the term, so I gave him his term change, and then we came to the month. We came to the pay down, and we gave him the pay down. So I gave him 3 out of the top 5, and then we came down to the monthly payments. And because he's getting all the pay down and it was his term, we chopped the monthly payments right in half. We chopped them from, I think it was like $1,650 down to $600. And then when it came to the price, it was, if I remember correctly, it was something like, he wanted $275, I was shooting for like $240. We ended up at $250, but because as soon as he started going above $250, I said, well, that's fine, but if we're going to $260, I need 2 years. And he said, well, I can't do 2 years. Okay, well then we can't do $260. And it lets me leverage those high value stack items against the low ones. I guess to leverage the low value stack items against the high ones. And it ended up coming out with great terms because we gave them all the stuff that was important to them and not very important to me. But once we got down to the really important stuff, we had lots of room, real value items to exchange to get the most important, highest priority value stack item that we needed. And then we wrote it up in the terms and deals closed. So that's pretty much it. That's the value stack K. There's the collect. That's the value stack. There's collect, clutter the deal with the value stack, and then you're going to close. And then you got to identify, it's very important to write it down. Sometimes this stuff goes fast, sometimes you can plan, but even just a notepad, writing this stuff down. Order them, give, and then take. Order them in priority, give them the low level stuff, and then take the high priority stuff and leverage the low priority value stacks against the highs so you can get the right terms to close the right deal to make the right type of choice for whatever your business is. I hope you got some value in this. I hope there's some tips and takeaways to your next negotiation. I'm Brendan. I put out this stuff for you, trying to give you value. I'm going to post this on the Ashton University, the YouTube channel, and you're probably seeing it here first in the newsletter. All this stuff and more is on ashtonfisher.ca. Thanks for watching if you're still here, and I'll see you guys in the field.